be allowed to appear in advertisements and can reference their sport in school, but that they would not be able to use any of the school's logos or branding in those advertisements. And Manny Ramirez says he still misses stepping into the batter's box and wants to return to professional baseball. The former MLB superstar, who will turn 48 in May, has his sights set on the Chinese Professional Baseball League in Taiwan. Ramirez briefly played there back in 2013. And for your ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This week in sports history, I'm JP. In 1931, Lou Gehrig hit a home run but is called out for passing a runner. The mistake cost him the AL home run crown. He and Babe Ruth tied for the season. In 1961, the NFL officially recognizes the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Currently, there are 326 members in the NFL Hall of Fame. In 1966, Red Auerbach retires as the Boston Celtics coach. Red Auerbach won 9 championships with the Boston Celtics and won 8 consecutive titles from 1959 to 1966. In 1983, Nolan Ryan becomes a strikeout king, passing Walter Johnson. Ryan was an 8-time All-Star, and his 5,714 career strikeouts is an MLB record by a significant margin. In 1986 NFL Draft, Auburn running back Bo Jackson was the first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jackson is the only professional athlete in history to be named an All-Star in both baseball and football. And in 2018, Shaquem Griffin is the first one-handed player to be drafted into the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. A little rainy outside. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, washing your hands, practicing social distancing. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, our beaches are going to open up this weekend. Look, be cautious. Please, everybody, just do your part in this. This is something where we do not want this to get out of hand. We're finally getting a little bit more freedom as we move forward with this, especially for our businesses. We know this is going to be great for them. But as we always start out our show, and we will continue to do so through all this, we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers. First and foremost, we thank you so much for what you do each and every day outside of this pandemic, but we also want to thank the grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers. You guys know who you are. We know who you are. We appreciate you. Look, in a time right now when we're trying to live life as normal as possible, you guys have really stepped up. We appreciate it. I see guys taking precautions, and the employees just doing their part out there. This is awesome to see. Not only that, though, our community and the way everybody has stepped up, from just your general public, giving food away, delivering food. Whoever needs something, a lot of people have stepped up when they didn't have to, and that's the glorious thing in all this is when disaster is struck, we know how hurricanes are here. Everybody comes together, and you know what? We were named the #1 strong town in America, and I think we found out why just with going through this right now. Coach, I know you feel the same way, but how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. Certainly I feel the same way. You bet.
Hey, Coach, now we have, of course, so much stuff going on, but before we do that, we also want to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do this without them. We appreciate them sticking with us through all this and what they mean to the community as well. I talk about the community. These folks are in the community each and every day. We appreciate what they do, but I know we have such a special show. Joe Theismann's going to join us at 12:15. Look, this is the former Notre Dame, NFL, CFL quarterback, played with the Redskins for 12 years. Personally, I think they haven't been any good since he left, but he's a Super Bowl winner. He's a college football Hall of Famer. You've heard him on NFL Network. He's going to join our show here in just a few minutes. Coach, it's going to be special to have him on the show with us. I know he's a great friend of yours. We also want to welcome folks. Listen, 850-623-1330 is the number. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. Maybe it's a question you want us to ask Joe Theismann. Let us know. We definitely want to know what's on your mind today. Coach, I want to start by something that we talked a little bit about yesterday, but it's official now. We're not getting the money yet, but the reports are coming out. Jameis finally signed a one-year deal with the New Orleans Saints, and from what I'm seeing, this is a steal by the Saints, just because the report is $1.1 million base salary and $3.4 million in incentives that he can reach based on his performance. Now, Coach, of course, Jameis Winston went on Charlie Ward's Instagram live show yesterday and said basically he had to put his ego aside. He knows where he stands. It's time for him to go learn, and learning under Drew Brees and that staff a Harvard education. Coach, when you look at this for the Saints, I think this is a no-brainer, especially for the money. And for Jameis, I think this is going to be great for him.
Oh, I do too. I think it's a wise decision on his part, and good move by the Saints. They really end up with the same situation they had last year, and that's what they were trying to recreate, I think. Behind Breeze, if he gets injured or they need to spell him for a while, they have a quarterback that will be ready to go, but they also can continue to use Taysom Hill the way they use him. He's like an extra player on their, on their roster. And my goodness, all he does for that football team is amazing. But he's taking a chance. They're taking a chance with all the hits that he takes and the risk that they have for injury, utilizing him in everything from tight end to receiver to back to special teams, all the special teams. My goodness, he's on the field quite a bit, and he's hit quite a bit. So you have to have a quarterback that's ready just to play quarterback, and you don't want to relegate him to that sitting on the sideline status, waiting for Breeze, his opportunity to play behind Breeze. Now, I think he will eventually be their quarterback. That's what Peyton has said, and I believe him. But in the meantime, this gives them a way to set their roster so that they can confidently go ahead and play football the way they've been playing it.
Yeah, Coach, you've said it before. This is exactly pretty much what they did with Teddy Bridgewater, obviously, and it worked out pretty well. It worked out pretty well for everybody. Now the Saints, of course, wanting to go to the Super Bowl, and we know they have that caliber team. It's just a couple bad breaks here and there. But even for Jameis, if you look at what happened to Teddy Bridgewater, he got another job. This is somewhere where Jameis, if he can learn, I asked you yesterday, do you believe that they could help, with the turnovers? And you said yes. And that's the biggest question mark with all this is, look, the arm talent's there. He's a young guy. Energetic. He's got a big arm. The intangibles, when you look at him, there's not a whole lot that misses, but it's the decision making. That's been it for him, even going back to FSU in his final year. So, you know what? This is a great move for the Saints. I know Saints fans, don't panic. You still got Drew Brees. You still got Taysom Hill. But nonetheless, it's interesting to see how this is going to work out. Coach, I want to talk about a couple things in the draft. Now, all of these we're hearing people talk about the draft and the winners and the losers. And one team, of course, we talked about. I want to bring them back up again. The Green Bay situation is interesting. Now, Brett Favre's even come out and talked a little bit about it. But Jordan Love, not that Aaron Rodgers was going to be replaced right away anyway, but Aaron Rodgers is owed $45 million this coming year, $32 million next year. For the next 2 years, pretty much you can't even get rid of him because that's dead money right there. So going to be interesting when you talk about Jordan Love here to take him early on. That's something. Not only that, this is not where I have a problem with that, but my problem goes to you didn't even draft one wide receiver. They said they're happy with what they have in-house. And, Coach, you know this as well as I do. What they have in-house did not get it done last year, yet Aaron Rodgers won 13 ball games. I mean, this is like what Brady was going through. Just you don't supply him with the help. You build up the defense. They even needed a tackle to replace Ryan Balaga over there, but you don't go wide receiver. Don't get him any help right there, Coach. This situation in Green Bay, is there anything you're hearing outside of well, just the general public here of Green Bay's plan with all this, or is this just seems like a bad move?
I'll tell you, there's no way to couch this other than the fact that it's just a bad move by Green Bay. And we've talked about the lack of tools, the lack of talent around some of the better quarterbacks to ever play the game. One, of course, is Rodgers. Brady, what they did to Brady in New England. He basically played with a group of taxi squad receivers other than Edelman, and then look at two. You're still looking at a couple of other teams with quarterbacks there. That Breeze, I think I've said this before. I think Breeze needed some help. Well, they did at least go out and get Sanders to come in and help with that situation. And I think they drafted a center. I think that's going to help them with Breeze in particular, because as he steps up, the guy likes to step up in the pocket. He does a good job of stepping up. That they got to secure that middle, and this is a guy that can do that. So anyway, they just no help for Rodgers in Green Bay, and I can't understand it to save my life why they couldn't go after one of those receivers. They needed one very badly.
Yes, and this was it's not like there wasn't any depth at receiver. There was more receivers drafted this year than in the past pretty much 20 years. So when you look at this receiver depth was incredible. And, we'll see what happens. I know, I'm kind of waiting to hear Aaron Rodgers on this, but Aaron Rodgers is a pro. That's the one thing. People want him to react. I don't think he's going to react. He may say some underlying comments, but he's not a guy that's going to come out and express his disconcern. He just wants to win. That's the guy for Aaron Rodgers. That's what he's been. He's been a competitor. I mean, this is a guy that people said last year. I find it so funny is people go, well, Aaron Rodgers, look, he had a bad year last year. Okay, what was he playing with? I mean, you go back to Brady. Like, yes, when he has some talent around him, of course, he's pretty dang good. I mean, you can't take receivers away from a quarterback. Doesn't matter how good they are, but regardless, it is what it is. Coach, I want to talk about a team that I thought was a winner in this draft. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page with the Indianapolis Colts, and that's bad news for my Tennessee Titans. They had a bad draft, but the Colts, when you look at drafting Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver to put opposite over there, Jonathan Taylor, which could be the best back. I mean, I'm so I want to see him so bad just to see what he's going to be in the NFL. Then you go a good safety in Julian Blackmon right there out of Utah. Help shore up that defense. Jacob Eason in the 4th round, solid pick. It's a guy they can work on. They can get some time. Yeah. You still have Phillip Rivers there. And then just some, shoring up the defensive line and going out and getting a guy I thought, which is a pretty good receiver in the 6th round, Desmond Patton. This is a team in the Colts, Coach. We already know how good the offensive line. They got the running back depth. They just added another guy. They needed another receiver over there across from T.Y. Hilton. They still have Paris Campbell that we don't know how good he's going to be. They got 2 tight ends. I mean, this is a team, Coach, that I tell you what, I love the Titans, but I'm pretty worried about the Colts, and I think rightfully so.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think the Colts had one heck of a draft, and gosh, when you're talking about adding talent to a football team, and don't forget now they traded their number 1 pick. You have to count him too. They got one of the better defensive
DeForest Buckner
linemen, in the league. They got him, so he was like their number 1 pick, which is a tremendous addition to your football team. And then you add the receiver, the back. Two of the best potential players in the league. I'm telling you, Jonathan Taylor could set the world on fire there. I really believe that.
Yeah, and Coach, I agree. And another team that, surprisingly, Jerry Jones making the comments of I'm drafting by myself. He was on his big yacht. He wanted to make his presence known there. I thought the Dallas Cowboys had a pretty good draft, too. Getting CeeDee Lamb helps them tremendously open up a little bit. He'll be on the other side of Amari Cooper. They have to get Dak signed. They already have Zeke Elliott. They went and got some offensive line help a little bit later in the draft in Tyler Badez out of Wisconsin, which you always know it's good to draft a Wisconsin lineman. And getting Neville Gallimore, the interior defensive lineman right there out of Oklahoma. This is a team. And then going and getting Trayvon Diggs from Alabama, a little surprising. But you know what? Trayvon Diggs is a ball player. I think that Jerry Jones and this Dallas Cowboys staff, they helped themselves tremendously to win that division.
They had a good draft. They really did. We've talked about this, and I really think that Dallas certainly had with CD as coming in as an additional receiver talent on that football team, puts them in a very unique position in the National Football League. They now are going to have to rely on scoring points to win football games, and I think they realize that. They've got a few holes defensively, but it was impossible to fill those holes defensively and do what they did overall in the draft. And I think overall in the draft they did a good job. Don't get me wrong, but it's their approach is going to have to be, we've got to outscore the other football team, and they're going to be capable of pretty much doing that. I'm not sure about one position on getting that done. But other than that, I think they're in great shape.
And, Coach, a team that I thought is a little interesting that I thought Elway did a great job. I know there's plenty of teams we could talk about. One team that is a little under the radar, though, I thought is the Denver Broncos. And the reason I say that is this is a team that's having to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think looking at that division, the way they drafted, they took a lot of speedy offense, the guys that can really light it up on the field. And when you look at the Broncos, look, Drew Lock is a guy, I like him. I'm interested to see now that he's got a little more help. Last year he had Cortland Sutton, and that was it. Of course, they got Melvin Gordon over there in this offseason, but getting Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama, going and getting this is the guy that I think is a sleeper in the draft, KJ Hamler out of Penn State. This guy was phenomenal for Penn State. And going and getting Lloyd Cushenberry, the center there, to help shore up the offensive line. We know how good the defense is. And then Tyree Cleveland in the 7th round. That's a steal to me. I like Tyree Cleveland out of Florida, especially a role player for them. Coach, they went out and got some speed, and I think that they understand what it's going to take to compete with the Chiefs, but I thought Elway did a fantastic job as well.
They did. I agree. I think they had a great draft. Hamler is going to give them outstanding speed outside. Jerry Jeudy is probably the best route runner in the draft. Which is a tremendous trait. And you're right. I mean, just all the way through the draft, they got people that are gonna help them. Don't forget the big tight end they got out of Missouri.
That's true.
6'5", 255. That can really run. So they're gonna be loaded, but they have to compete with Kansas City. So they got to have the tools there to outscore them.
And you have, like I said, Melvin Gordon back there along with Phillip Lindsay already. Then you still have Noah Fant, who they drafted last year, along with the other tight end out of Missouri. I'm not going to try to say his last name because it's unbelievable. I don't want to embarrass myself and waste your time. But, it's going to be fun to watch Denver. This is going to be a team that, you know what, don't sleep on them. We'll see what happens with Drew Lock and his progression. But, Coach, we got to go to a break. When we come back, Joe Theismann is going to join us right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe. We're talking some football with you. And, Coach, I know we have a special guest joining us right now, Joe Theismann. Listen, this is a guy, former Notre Dame quarterback, NFL, CFL quarterback, played with the Washington Redskins for 12 years. Like I said before, no offense, I don't think the Redskins have been good since he left. But nonetheless, Super Bowl winner, College Football Hall of Famer. You've heard him on the NFL Network. Coach, I'm going to let you – I know he's a great friend of yours. I'm going to let you take over.
Well, Joe, we just appreciate you taking the time to come on with us, my friend. It's wonderful
You're
to have
welcome,
you on.
Kay. It's always good to catch up with you, and I hope everybody's staying safe out there.
You bet. You bet. Same with you and your family. Listen, we're still going through this draft hangover, as you might imagine. And we've got, I'll preface by saying, you never know. It takes 2 to 3 years down the road to really evaluate a draft and see how much production each team gets from the draft. But everybody likes to play the who did what game after the draft. You know that. And, of course, all 32 teams have to say they won. It's just like a big ball game that there's no way they can lose. They got to win it. But having said all that, give a shot, Joe, at who you think really, truly had a chance to upgrade their football team.
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting situation we're in our life, Kay. And I think it's tough to say anybody, specifically. There were so many needs by so many football teams. There were half a dozen quarterbacks that were needed. And, of course, you saw Nick Foles move. You saw Tom Brady move. You saw Phillip Rivers move. So, with that in mind, teams got better. And then you saw Burrows go, and then Tua go, and Herbert go, and then Jalen Hurts go. And then, you had Jordan Love. I mean, it's so hard to look at this draft like any other draft we've had before because the coaches haven't been able to evaluate the players other than the first rounds at the combine. I mean, everybody had to make decisions based on film. I think that's why you saw, Alabama's loaded with talent, and you saw them a lot. So you see the amount of players that were taken by Alabama. LSU, the same thing. How many guys you basically see were taken by LSU or from LSU? I think the Redskins personally did very well. They wanted Chase Young, and I think it was almost a consensus that he was the best player in the draft. Then we got the running back / wide receiver out of Memphis. So, to me, and, you look at the New England Patriots made a deal with the Chargers to get out of the first round. They got a bunch of draft choices. Buffalo gave up a ton to get Stephon Diggs. I don't know if that one person. It's really funny. It makes a difference. We've seen guys trade unbelievable amounts of draft choices for wide receivers. Keyshawn Johnson, I think Tampa gave up 2 number ones for him. Joey Galloway going back, they gave up 2 number ones for him. Dukes, they had, a 1, a 2, a 3 this year, and then a 4 next year. So you see, I don't understand. I mean, this was a wide receiver draft that was pretty heavy, and yet they gave up a lot for Stephon. So, I don't think Buffalo got a lot for what they made the deal for. And that's why I say this is a hard draft. It's hard to answer your question and say who did well and who didn't do well. I think a lot of teams filled needs. Cincinnati needed a quarterback. Miami needed a quarterback. San Diego needed a quarterback. The one that surprised me was the Green Bay Packers moving up.
Joe.
That was, and I guarantee Aaron Rodgers wasn't thrilled about that, with this being a heavy wide receiver draft. And that, as opposed to, that was, I think, the biggest surprise in this draft was what Green Bay did to go get a quarterback.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it was a terrible move on their part for a number of reasons, and it's just you can't recover from something like that very easily, and they really have handicapped a heck of a quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's not, and believe me, he doesn't think twice about showing his displeasure about what they do either. Aaron's pretty out front when it comes to letting his feelings be known.
Well, having said that, I really feel I agree with you on the Colts. I think the Colts, when you consider their first-round pick, they gave up for a very, very talented defensive tackle.
Yep.
Tackle / end, depending on whether you're there in a 34 or 4-3. And then with their next 2 picks, my goodness, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, they get 2 of the most talented kids in the draft. I think they got the best back. I really feel like this kid's Taylor from Wisconsin is the prototypical NFL running back, and I think
he's what you want. And you see the move back. I mean, when you were coaching, running backs were more coveted even than they are now. But now the cycle's starting to come around again. We're starting to see the value of the running back, and of course the running game. Everybody wants the ball thrown all over the place. But if you look at the teams that were in the playoffs, many of them were up there in rushing. It wasn't all just throw it all over the place, and especially when you get to places where the weather is bad, you have to be able to run the football. You have to be able to take time off the clock, and that's what's really allowed, I think, the passers to have the exceptional years that they've had, is the ability to be able to be a balanced offense where you're not 70-30 throwing the football. You're more 55-45, maybe 60-40.
Yeah, I agree with you. Being a football team that they have a balanced offense, and we've heard people say that, for crying out loud. That's been
that's not going to change.
Yeah, it's not going to change. Yeah,
no, not going to change. Football's a funny game. There's basic elements of the football game that don't change. I mean, we change few. It's like you're always going to have the meat and potatoes, and it's just a question of how you want to garnish it. Do you want to? What do you want to do? Do you want to put carrots? Do you want to put celery? Do you want to use asparagus? Do you want to use broccoli? You want to try something else with it? But the meat and potatoes are going to be running the football and playing great run defense. Those 2 things are going to be the difference. I think 7 of the 10 teams that were in the playoffs were, I think the 7 teams that were in the playoffs were ranked in the top 10 in rushing defense. And it gets the running aspect of the game sort of gets pushed to the side a little bit, but it's so integral to where you want to wind up at the end of the year.
No question about that, and again, that goes back a long way. I mean, my goodness, I can't remember a top-flight coach who had some good teams along the way ever say anything differently than you got to be able to play defense. You got to stop the run, and you can always I remember we used to say you can always double a receiver. I mean, there's no way that you can devise offensively to keep us from doubling your best receiver if that's your bread and butter. going into a ball game. Now, Chuck Knox used to believe that totally.
Oh yeah.
That he
well,
could,
you know, the
take
other thing too, Kay, is from a receiving standpoint. If you look at if you break the game of football down, if you target a receiver 8 times a game, which is a pretty good number, and he catches 5, that boils down to 90 catches. But you're taking 8 plays out of 64, 65, in some cases 70. And you've got this guy that's supposed to make a difference. Now, you don't find people like a Tariq Hill all over the place. You know, Stephon Diggs has that ability, we think, to be able to do the same thing. And, you know, what will it be like up in Buffalo? Now he's going to be outside versus inside. And so I've always been fascinated by what people give up for wide receivers for a position that doesn't get a lot of touches. And basically, you know, 10 targets a game would be a fairly good number for those.
Agreed. You know, let me jump to something I really want your opinion on all of this, but in particular, let's move to the quarterbacks. I think it's just my opinion, and again, I have to preface by saying, if I had the opportunity, being on a staff or part of a staff or whatever, of looking at these people in detail.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that now. You don't want to do that again.
No.
You put a lot of great
No.
years.
It's too late. It's too late for that anyway, buddy.
Yep, I know. Too late for me to go do something too. I agree.
But if having not having the opportunity to really in depth look at these quarterbacks, and I think it's so out of line for people to talk about who's the best quarterback here, and what they do, and how they do it, and what they can't do, and so on, when they have no idea. They've never played the position, never coached the position, never even been a scout or anything else, and yet they can tell you about quarterbacks. But I guess infringing somewhere in between there, I really think that I really like this Joe Burrow. I think Burrow, to me, when I saw him play, it was the equivalent of Brady playing college football. I mean, the pre-snap recognition, the immediate post-snap recognition on where to go with the football, getting rid of the football. So to throw at over 70%, 73% completion, when a large percentage of his throws were 20 yards or more downfield. Outstanding job. I like Tua. But
Tua to me was interesting. Tua was very interesting to me, Kay, because Jalen Hurts was another one. Hurts became a much better thrower of the football at Oklahoma than he ever was at Alabama. But Tua, I'm rooting for the kid. I mean, I think Miami got themselves a good one. I've always wondered about his arm strength. And maybe the game against Clemson I watched more intently than anything a couple of years ago. I don't know whether he was healthy, 100% healthy, but it looked like some of the balls just didn't carry as far with as much velocity. But watching his pro day work out, I mean, he's smart. He's got good feet. I think the time off has helped him, not putting a lot of wear and tear on that hip, because every day you heal, it gets better and better. But again, and you and I have talked about this, I think the quarterback position is the single most dependent position on the field. If you don't have a defense, if you don't have a line, if you don't have guys catching the ball, if you don't have a running game, I mean, you're dependent on so many different things in that regard. And usually a team like Cincinnati, or say a team like Miami, or even the Chargers, Chargers move on from Phillip, who goes to Indianapolis, and I don't know if Phillip could throw the ball down the field anymore. I think that's going to be a big question mark. We'll have to watch and see. But if you're picking that high, you have more needs than just the quarterback. It's a place to start, but you have to give that position support around it for these kids to have a chance to be successful. And I always think of Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. You know, Ben, as a rookie, walked into the Steelers, great defense, solid offensive line, good, solid running game, solid receivers. and you could live with any mistakes he might make. Miami tried this, with Rose before, and it didn't work out. And like I say, I'm rooting for Tua, but it'll be interesting to see what the Dolphins wind up doing. And don't ever count New England out of that division. Everybody has sort of said, Buffalo's going to win the division now. Don't count Bill Belichick out one bit. Don't you ever do that, because he finds a way.
Right.
He finds a way.
You're exactly right. Listen, the other thing too, on the flip side of that, is for example, Tampa Bay. I think them getting Brady and just for the immediate first 2 years, and Gronk, they'll use him only, and I'm sure only in certain situations, and they won't utilize him in line as much as they have in the past. But Brady makes that whole football team so much better. Think about all the, as a quarterback, think about the protections up front with that offensive line that Jameis Harris was not able to.
Jameis turned the ball over. Well, he turned the ball over so much last year. I mean, 35 turnovers, 30 interceptions, 5 fumbles. I mean, Tom's not going to do that. And they were 7-9. The other thing is, too, I think with Gronk, I thought Gronk would come back to New England towards the end of the season last year. And I think having him down there in Tampa is psychologically such a great position for Tom to be in. I mean, he was going to be in a terrific situation anyway. I think their defense was one against the run. I mean, now there's a football team that has pieces in place where Tom can step in and upgrade the position. And I think Jameis going to New Orleans is a great move too, because I think Sean Payton's one of the best play callers in football. And I think he can find a role for him. He'll get a chance to learn behind Drew. And Jameis could be that guy. He could be that next guy, that Ryan Tannehill that goes from one team to another, and all of a sudden everybody starts talking about how well he's playing. But down in Tampa, I mean, I want the season to start because I'm curious about what's going to happen down in Tampa. I mean, and the Redskins, obviously, but I'm curious. I'm very curious.
Brady's going to make their defense better because he'll be on the field. He's not going to turn the ball over 30 times. And he's going to keep that football team on the field, the offensive team, on the field more. Defense will be off the field more. Their offensive line is going to be better because he's not going to miss on the protection calls and being able to adjust those and the run
and
versus the pass.
The other thing too is he'll make everybody more accountable. I mean, it was the same thing that Peyton did when he went to Denver. He'll make the coaching staff more accountable, the players, the front office, the scouts. When you have someone like Tom on your football team, you don't want to disappoint him. I mean, let's face it. Everybody. I mean, everybody steps around in awe of him, and they should. I mean, he's the greatest that ever played the game, in my opinion. Now he's on your football team. Now, if you don't run a good route, I mean, it's on you, not him.
That's a great point, and he will tell them about it if they don't.
Plus, the other thing too is he's never been under. There's going to be so much pressure because the expectation for him and that football team is to play in Tampa, which is where the Super Bowl is this year, and be a home team hosting a Super Bowl. That's what the expectation is.
Yeah. It's there's so many interesting things. I got another one off the wall. This is off the wall, but I like the kid. I think he's a winner. The kid from Jake Fromm from Georgia. Now, he went to Buffalo in the 5th round. Let me tell you, Allen has a lot of, I hate the word potential, just means that they've never done it. He's got a lot of potential, but half the time I don't think he knows where he's throwing the football. I don't think he has a good grasp of the system, and he's not very accurate, which is very important for a quarterback. Let me tell you, Buffalo's not a bad football team, but before the year's over, Fromm could end up being the quarterback at Buffalo. I know not a lot of people believe that, but I think it's a real possibility. Kid's a winner.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to share that with you. I mean, Fromm is I think he's got a chance in this game But I think he was solid at Georgia, and he did some very good things. And he's one of these guys that you have to keep an eye on. And, you know, he could be one of these guys who's in Buffalo for a couple, 3 years, and then all of a sudden, you know, they like what they see in Josh Allen, and then they'll say, okay, and then now another team, because, you know, there's going to be more teams that are always going to be looking, about half a dozen every year, looking for a quarterback. He could be one of those guys that gets his feet wet and then all of a sudden wind up with an opportunity someplace else, like a Ryan Tannehill. You know, like Josh Rosen never had a chance to capitalize on his opportunity to move in Arizona. But then again, you got Jameis Winston moving to New Orleans. So you know, Jay could be one of those guys. 2, 3. You and I will have a conversation 2, 3 years down the road from now, and he may be the guy we're talking about.
You're right. That's a good point. A very good point. I just think you know, he lost all 4 of his receivers at Georgia this last year. He didn't lose 2. He lost 4. And it just made it very, very difficult to play at the same level, when you lose 4 receivers. I got to ask you about one more thing real quick, and I got a million things here I could chat with you about, but I won't.
We could make this a 6-hour show, okay?
Yeah, yes, indeed, absolutely. But I gotta bring this up. I think it's one of the funniest takes on television. Years ago, during the draft, you're at the dais there on ESPN, next to Mel Kiper, and the ESPN, I forget his. But anyway, Kiper gets into a beef, match back and forth with the Indianapolis
Bill Polian
general manager.
Yeah,
No, not Bill Polian. No, it wasn't Bill.
Oh no, wasn't it? Who was it? Yeah, because I remember those two going at it, and Mel basically said, "Obviously, you have no idea what you're talking about."
Yeah, you looked at him like,
yeah.
And he was just a kid at the time, coming out of his garage.
Although, you know what? I did enjoy the draft this year. I enjoyed the fact that there were cameras in all these guys' homes, and you could see how the family reacted with them. I thought it was fun. And there's some things that they can take from this draft, I think, and use going forward. And it'll be, you know, Cleveland, I think, gets it next year, and then I believe they're going back to Vegas for 22. So
that's right. Yeah,
it'll be fun. I mean, we just have to. Everybody has to stay safe. We need to get past this next phase. Hopefully, it won't be bad, and then we can get football season started. Whether it's with fans or without, we'll be able to watch the games for sure.
You bet. I can't wait to have it. And you're right. We all got to stay safe. Listen, Joe, I've taken too much of your time. I appreciate you coming on. And
no problem. Always enjoy visiting with you.
Love to have you on again, maybe before when they make a decision on what they're going to do about the season. Okay, thanks so much, Joe.
Take care.
That's Joe Theismann right there. We appreciate him joining the show. Always good to hear Joe Theismann's voice. Great voice when you talk about a calming voice, just in a time right now with everything going on. Some great insight there, great opinions going back and forth with Coach as well. But listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, as we've always been doing lately, worked our way through the SEC, working our way through the ACC. We had Clemson yesterday. The Duke Blue Devils is a team maybe a little more interesting with a coach that's got a great background as well. We're going to talk about the Duke Blue Devils when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, driving safe. A little wet roads out there. Nonetheless, we're talking some football with you. Coach, as we continue on working our way, like I said, we've worked our way through the SEC, talking about the ACC now. The Duke Blue Devils, it's a team that, when we think Duke, we think higher education and we think basketball. We don't really think football a whole lot. This is interesting now. Of course, Duke, I'll talk a little bit about last year's team going 5-7. This is a team that was 94th in the nation in offense, averaging 25 points a game, giving up almost 30 points a game, which is 77th in the nation. Not exactly the world beaters here, what you expect, but a team that when you look at it, they lost some pieces, of course, last year. But talking about this year's schedule real quick, starting out the season at home for 3 games against Middle Tennessee, Elon, and Charlotte. That should be a good start for them, hopefully. On the road right there to take on the Pitt Panthers. Then back home again to take on Wake Forest. Then they got to go to NC State. Not a big drive there to Raleigh. Back home to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Then on the road to take on Notre Dame. Always going to be a tough game right there. A game on the road at Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech. Then back home for a couple games against Virginia and Virginia Tech. And then finishing in Miami Gardens to take on the Hurricanes right there. Coach, when you look at this team in Duke, this is a team that, Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Giants, a great product there. Something interesting I want to talk about before I get started in this is their coach. Now, Cutcliffe is a guy that is well respected all over football. We know that. He has coached 8 quarterbacks, of course, that's gone on to play in the NFL, from Heath Schuler, Peyton Manning, T. Martin, Eli Manning, Eric Ainge, Thaddeus Lewis, Sean Renfree, and Daniel Jones now. And Daniel Jones, by the way, I like the kid a lot. But when you look at this team, this is a outlook on the team, of course, going 5-7 last year. They're in the Coastal Division, which is a little bit easier. We'll talk about that in a second. They're welcoming back most of their offensive pieces for 2020. Now, I know it wasn't a great offense, but they were a young team. They are losing their 5th-year quarterback, Quentin Harris, who put his name in the draft and was not drafted. But when you look at it, the running back, they've got some other positions that are fairly deep. The big question is going to be the quarterback position. Is it going to be Chris Katrinik or Gunnar Holberg? But the one thing you know with Cutcliffe is he's always going to get good quarterback play. That's one thing that when you look at this, he is going to have good quarterbacks. Now, wide receiver, they have tremendous depth. Pretty much everybody coming back there. The defense is looking fairly good, replacing a couple pieces along the line. But when you look at this, Coach, I think that Cutcliffe is a guy that you can never count out. Now, it's not to say that they're going to be world beaters, like I've said before, but being in that Coastal Division, you don't have to be ahead of Clemson. You don't have to be ahead of Florida State, schools like that. You have Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt, North Carolina, to me, which I think is probably the top team in that division, and then Miami and Georgia Tech. Coach, when you look at this team and Cutcliffe, I have the utmost respect for David Cutcliffe, but when you look at Duke here, what do you see in this team? Is this going to continue to be an average team? Are they a team that can peak? I mean, can get 10 wins in a year? Maybe not this year, of course, but we've seen them get so close so many times. And what's your thoughts on David Cutcliffe as well?
Well, listen, I think David Cutcliffe is one of the top football coaches in America, period. List anybody else you want to. What he's done at Duke, what he did at Tennessee before at Ole Miss, the biggest mistake I think a university has made in the recent past was when Ole Miss fired David Cutcliffe. What have they been? They haven't even approached, got anywhere near what they were when Cutcliffe was there. I thought he should have been, of course, I think he was offered the job at Tennessee and turned it down when they were having all the problems, coaches going in one door and out the other, and all the other problems. And he probably turned it down, rightfully so. He's at Duke. They love him there. He's not expected to win the national title. I think it's obviously easier on him, and he gets to do what he likes to do and what he does very well, and that he coaches kids and gives them the best opportunity to win, best possible opportunity. He can put a team with lesser talent out there on the field against virtually everybody he plays and still win ball games and go to bowl games. That's unbelievable. So what do I think of David Cutcliffe? I think that is Duke football. Without him there, they win a couple of ball games a year, tuck the football in the shed, and go to basketball.
Yeah, I coach, when I look at Duke, to break it down to an easier standpoint for people, I think without David Cutcliffe, they become Vanderbilt, and that's no offense, but a team that nobody respects, that nobody really worries about. That they have a couple players, but outside of that, look, David Cutcliffe can recruit. He's got some sparkling talent on that roster, and much like Vanderbilt, there's a higher education standpoint these guys have to go through as well. Duke is a prestigious university. Look, it's a university that is well respected when you talk about education. And, of course, basketball, that's what everybody thinks when they think Duke. They think Mike Krzyzewski. But when you think football, I think David Cutcliffe just doesn't get the respect he deserves. And I think it's not only that, though. This is a guy that could go other places and get other jobs, but he stays there. How often do we see coaches do that? Now, I get coaches want to chase money. I'm not against that. What I'm saying here is Cutcliffe has built a foundation at Duke where this is a team that, yes, they're not going out and winning 10, 12 games a year. But this is a team that's putting guys in the NFL. Outside of the quarterbacks, he's putting other guys in the NFL every single year, and they're well-respected guys. They are hard workers. That's where I look at Duke is, no, they're not going to beat Clemson's, but they're a team that you better not sleep on them because David Cutcliffe can recruit, he can coach, and he puts guys around him that makes them successful, and that's where I look at Duke. I find them as a middle-of-the-road team that can surprise some teams because, remember, they're in that Coastal Division, which right now looks like it's probably North Carolina's the best, but we don't know with what Mac Brown's doing there. He's doing some great things. They don't have to beat the Clemson. So, Coach, when I look at Duke, I find them a middle-of-the-road team, but it's a team that you just can't sleep on.
I think that sums it up well. Again, gets back to the centerpiece for football there being David Cutcliffe, and he will do a good job. I just put an awful lot of confidence and faith in him. Now, they may be so bereft of talent at times that, JP, they can't win but one or two ball games, period, because they don't have enough talent to shouldn't even be on the field with these other teams. But if they can come anywhere close, with enough talent and enough skilled players to utilize the passing game, which is his forte, they could beat almost anybody. He's proven that. So give them an inch, and look out. Cutcliffe could make a winner out of them.
I agree, Coach. I like him. I like Cutcliffe. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for him as well. And look, he's proven. He has put some fantastic quarterbacks in the league, and everybody loves him to death outside of or from the players to other coaches that have dealt with him as well. A guy that is just so much fun to watch. But nonetheless, Coach, we're up against a break right now. When we come back, final segment of the show, we're going to talk some more NFL draft. And an interesting thing, I did a little research. I know that's dangerous sometimes when I do math and research at the same time. But some things I found out about the Giants that, well, may surprise you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM contest rules. You can win one prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes are non-transferable, non-redeemable for cash, or exchangeable for any other contest prize. Prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning and must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Final segment of the show here, a few minutes left. Talking some football, of course, with you, Coach. This is something interesting that I found. Now, I don't know why I just felt the need to go research this, but it was interesting. The Giants and their draft. Now, the Giants had a pretty good draft overall when you look at it. But when you look at They drafted three guys when you talk about the offensive line. Now, in the first round, taking Andrew Thomas, which Pro Football Focus had him ranked number 1 on the board. I like Tristan Wirfs better, but overall, nonetheless, they had him ranked number 1. Andrew Thomas, Matt Pert in the third round, the tackle out of Connecticut, and then Shane Lemieux, the offensive lineman there for Oregon in round number 5. Now, something interesting with this, you look at they had plenty of draft picks. They went big-time defense outside of these guys. But when you look at these guys, neither of the three missed a game in college. They started every single game. Coach, when you look at this, a couple things. We know these guys are talented, but how rare is it to have offensive, especially three guys drafting guys like that, an offensive lineman where you know it's important at the position to play, obviously, but just the durability of guys, especially when we see guys missing, have to come out on plays and things like this, getting hurt left and right, just the way the game is. But I thought it was interesting that they drafted three guys that were as durable as can be, didn't miss a game in college. I think it was like 150 combined starts between them. And not only that, but high-level guys. That's where I look at for the Giants, and I go, okay, well, I see what you're doing here. I don't know if that was what they were doing, but I think it's interesting, and it's rare to find guys like that. But, Coach, when you look at this, how important is the overall durability of a lineman compared to the play of a lineman?
Well, obviously it's tremendously important to have as many as you can play every week. That's a real determining factor as to how well you're going to do overall, especially up front. Again, I've said many times, and I'll say it again, very difficult to keep the all the timing and the play at a high level on the offensive line if you have a lot of shuffling in and out, especially if you bring somebody in who's not used to the system or the calls or whatever, makes it even more of a problem, and sacks go up accordingly. So to keep them all healthy and keep them in there and have a good recognition, and you need a good center, you need a good quarterback, number one, to help with the run, pass, and then with the blocking combinations and protections, and then a center, usually a center who can make all the calls up there on as the looks change defensively, which show dog and blitz occasionally, show stunts by the defensive lineman that he can pick up. He can certainly help with the right call. So you can see the logistics involved in having a productive offensive line are very, very complicated, and takes you would want everybody at the top of their game in every football game and used to each other. The more familiarity they have with each other, the better they're going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the Giants, I thought that it may not be the flashiest draft for a lot of people, but getting those linemen, it's important. Remember, for taking care of your quarterback, and Saquon Barkley, how fantastic he is. You got to protect the guys. Look, you got to build the house before you put your family in it. That's what when you look at it for what they did, I thought they had a pretty good draft. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. And Coach, that sound right there means it's time for us to go. As usual, we didn't get to everything that we wanted to. I know Joe Theismann coming on the show with us was awesome. We appreciate him, but nonetheless, it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. Wish we could get to everything every day.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, Coach, you take care, and we appreciate our listeners tuning in as well. Look, tomorrow we'll try to get to as much as we can as usual. We'll be talking some football with you same time right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. Start off the hour with some headlines. The Cowboys have agreed with terms to veteran free agent cornerback Daryl Worley. He announced that on Wednesday on Instagram. So a lot of corners in that room. We all know that the Cowboys lost Byron Jones to Miami in free agency, but they've packed that corner room with several players. So we'll see how that shakes out moving forward for the Cowboys, and particularly for Daryl as he goes into that situation. Next up on your headlines, Roger Goodell not taking a salary during the pandemic. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Roger Goodell last month voluntarily requested to the league's compensation committee that his salary be reduced to zero, which was accepted and went into effect weeks ago, according to an email sent by Pittsburgh Steelers owner Art Rooney II that was obtained by ESPN.